When the Traitors was announced, I was so happy that both Danny and I were so happy that you were a part of it because I feel like astute Bravo fans understand your contributions to reality TV over the years. And I loved seeing you amongst so many legends in the genre like Brandy and Kate and Ari. How did it feel to get the call and to be the first Summer House star to star on the Traitors?
I mean, look, it was an honor. I mean, that's the short answer. The more long-winded answer, I at first almost turned it down because I was days away from going to film Winter House. And, you know, if you've watched Winter House, there's not much time to do any work. And so, you know, I kind of was like, listen, yes, we drink Loverboy and Winter House, and it's an easy thing to justify for my team as to why I'm taking Amanda and taking 2 weeks to go do this show. Traitors was just like, yo, it wasn't even clear if I could have my phone. It was another 2 weeks. You know, I think we filmed it in the first half of May. You know, so at first I was just like, I'm overwhelmed and I don't want to compromise or jeopardize my business. But one of my executive producers said, Kyle, I think you're going to regret it. I think you should give it a shot when you're a little more clear-headed, you're back from Winter House and you can understand the opportunity. And so when I came back and they pitched me on it and we talked about the concept, I was just like, this is TV gold.
Oh,
it has all the makings. And I also just thought, how cool would it be to be a part of the very first season, right? Because I don't watch Survivor or Big Brother or any of those competition or challenge-based shows, but you know, when you're the first to do it, you don't have the tapes to study, and it's the real challenge, right? It's new, and I was just like, we're gonna set the bar for everybody that follows us, and I was just like, that's exciting, you know.
I also love too the visual of a Bravo lab trying to justify their PTO time because it's very relatable. Just like, hi, like just worried over the email, like, I think ... So we're very glad.
I know, I'm just a normal guy.
Yeah. So we're glad that the PTO worked out. And I also love too that you kind of probably appreciated being able to be in a show where the drama is less about everyone shouting about things in your actual life. You can kind of just detach and get into like this complete different mindset, secluded from everybody you know. Do you feel like you got to like showcase different sides of you that you haven't really been able to do on Winter and Summer House?
No, absolutely. I mean, like that was another thing that one of my producers said. They're just like, look, all of the drama and the storylines in Summer House and Winter House revolve around everybody's like personal life, right? It's, you have to let your guard down. You have to be vulnerable because this is very personal. And this, you know, you if you're one of the 10 people that have never been on TV before, you can actually come in and lie about who you are and what you do for a living. And if you have kids or not, like it's very much about the game, the strategy, you know, and if you're a good judge of character and if you have good social skills, and it's way less, well, I mean, almost entirely not dependent on, you know, your personal life and any kind of like actual personal drama. Now, don't get me wrong, like people's true characters and personalities come through. In fact, without the drinking, without the booze, now it's really about like what you see is what you get, right?
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
I just looked at it as an opportunity to kind of get out of the little Bravo world that I've been living in and kind of show another side of me because I'm a smart guy. I am, I think I said I was calculated. That's just like a word they use in the teaser. You know, I had said that I was calculated in one of my confessionals on the Traitors, and then I think Lindsay picked up on that. But
she did.
Yeah, what I was kind of getting at is it's a time and an opportunity to actually showcase your strategic thinking. Like it's not about the party, it's not about the drama, it's not about your, you know, your friendships, your relationships. It's about, you know, coming in and kind of assessing and sizing people up.
It was still about your mullet though a little bit because Kate and Brandy had some thoughts. Can we get a little turnaround? Oh,
There it
It
is.
looks so good.
I
You're
mean,
committed
I
now.
think it looks better in person.
okay.
I love it. I think it looks great here on this Zoom, Kyle. It's funny, we were mentioning Brandy. When we spoke to Brandy right before the Traitors premiered, she applauded your people skills and your social skills specifically. And she was like, that's why Kyle made it as far as he did, because he just has kind of like a way of, I don't know, making people fall in love with you. You got that charisma factor. Was that part of your strategy? But it's also naturally who you are.
Right. I was just like, listen, I'm just going to go in and be myself. And if you take the party element out of it, which is what most of my shows have revolved around, you'd almost have an easier time seeing, who I am. Like people that work with me or, get introduced to me professionally can't even believe who I am on the weekends. I'm like, yeah, I live like this, this multiple personality lifestyle. But at the end of the day, like I'm a hard worker, and this kind of allowed some of that to come through. I only wish I lasted a little longer because we started as a cast of 20, right? And quite frankly, it's really hard to have intimate, strategic conversations with people that you trust because you're always just looking around your back. There's just people are popping in and out of rooms. And despite how big that castle was, only part of it was truly rigged with surveillance just because that was what was manageable from the production standpoint. But what that also meant was the first half of the show where there's twice as many people, there's fewer spaces to go. And that was hard. That was really hard. You could see me kind of frantically trying to cover my bases when I found my name was on like the chopping block. So yeah.
And I love too that because obviously I don't know if Peacock expected to be such a success, but it is like literally like I think they even said like one of the best shows that ever aired from them from a performance and like review standpoint. So I'm so glad that we ended up getting a reunion for you guys. How did you feel about the reunion unpacking? I'm glad we got to see Kate get some peace against Ari a little bit because this is what we love about Kate Chastain. She knows how she's not going to let someone get off easily. So I'm glad she kind of said it to Ari. How are your takeaways from the reunion too?
Yeah, I mean, like, keep in mind, yes, Andy was our host. This was never going to be like a true like Bravo reunion that's filmed over the course of like 6, 8, 10 hours. I think we kind of talked about what we needed to talk about. I would have loved for there to be one little opportunity for me to just, get some credit for figuring it all out. Because
you did early on. You knew.
I mean, look, like Brandy was on to some of the same people too, but we were early on. It's just chaotic when you're throwing names. What I was in the process of doing was really trying to hatch a plan, because I think what my own castmates forgot, you can't just come in and lay out like, here are the traitors. There's no checkmate on the game of traitors. In other words, it's a minimum of three moves if there's 3 traitors. And so when I started piecing it all together and trying to figure out who I could trust and how I hatched the plan to one by one, like I was always 100% positive Christian was a traitor, but his name never came up at the round table. So you don't want to like spark confusion and chaos by throwing another name out. Mm-hmm. Also, if you're like a fly on the wall, which is definitely a common strategy, another reason you don't just throw a name out, right? Like everyone's just trying to like, hey, as long as it's not my name, like we're good. Let's move forward with this roundtable discussion. But yeah, I just wish I could have had a little more time to put it into motion.
Yeah. Did you and Brandy, because you said that you and Brandy were kind of like brain chat a little bit, and we know she couldn't make it to the reunion. Have you been in touch with her about you being like, we were so on it or anything like that? Like,
oh yeah, like immediately. I mean, the one thing that threw me off, because I thought it'd be too obvious if Kate and Brandy were traitors, just because like of who they are on Bravo. I felt like that'd be kind of ridiculous to be almost like they'd be typecast as a traitor. So I felt like I could trust them. They were riding hard in the paint, when they thought Michael was a traitor. And granted, Michael did a lot of things that tipped people off that were suspicious. And so I kind of jumped on board with that, but then regretted it because it was a huge distraction. But, I think immediately upon exiting the game, I was on the phone with both them and just kind of talking it out because we didn't have our phones until either one or got the boot. So it was fun to catch up, and like I filled Brandy in the best I could. Obviously, Kate was still playing.
Yeah.
Against her will.
Yeah.
Yes. Watching the reunion, Kyle, I started thinking to myself, like some of these people, especially the dudes, because there's a shortage of bros on the current season of Summer House. I feel like some of the contestants or competitors on this season of the Traitors would thrive in the Summer House. If you could bring someone into the Summer House fold, Christian, Cody, Michael, like who would you like to have in the house with you?
Oh man, that's a good question. I mean, yeah, like for whatever reason, maybe it's because New Yorkers are very career driven and guys, are a little more, they're not as likely to like, hey, I want to build up an Instagram following so I can hawk some skincare line. Like it's just harder to find guys that are willing to open up. But on Traitors, we had less of that problem. We obviously had a bunch of people that have been on TV too. Oh, who would be the best summer house? I mean, I love Cody. I think he gets it. He's a New Jersey guy, so he's not far from like the work hard, play hard lifestyle, and he goes down to the shore and appreciates a good lover boy. He was actually
he'd love a bathing suit too. Yeah,
yeah, he's a good looking guy. He looks good in a bathing suit. He was drinking lover boy before we even got cast together, which was cool. I was like,
Cody,
respect, brother. Ryan, Lochte, and I would take turns trying to make each other laugh and the rest of the cast laugh. Both those guys, Ryan's married with kids, Cody's engaged. I know the producer's like, give me some fresh meat here. Christian's a character. I mean, he's just like, he's like firecracker.
And if Christian came to the house, he could bring Geraldine because now they're kind of a thing.
I know, who would have thought that was total news, I think, to almost everybody on the cast at the reunion. Everyone was like, what?
I kind of love it.
Wait, and
Traitors love.
Yes, and Evan, I do love you saying that Summer House needs a few more guys because I did have a moment of laughing last episode when it was you and Chris just playing like Connect Four together.
Oh, you don't even know. Like we did actually go to a brewery, but I'm sure they were just like, well, this is getting cut. I'm not supposed to talk about the scenes that don't get cut, but this was just funny. It was innocent. It was just two dudes drinking beers. I'm like, I know enough about filming that I'm like, we need a little more activity here.
Something going on.
Right now, Kyle, as the first Summer House star to compete on the Traitors, I think you are obviously a trendsetter, and you're inspiring other Summer House stars to possibly get in on the action. Because Danny and we recently did a live show for the podcast in New York City. Lindsey Hubbard, your good friend, participated, and she said that she and Carl are campaigning hard to get her on the next season of the Traitors. How do you think Lindsey Hubbard would fare on the show, and would you cast her as a traitor or a faithful?
Yeah, it's kind of funny because she never once has told me about her aspirations to go on it. You'd think, well, there's a common topic to bring us together. Look, I think that she probably would be pretty incredible. I mean, she very good at spinning things. She's very good at looking after herself. And I think that she'd be able to certainly look behind her back. Look, I think it does take a certain type of person. She's a dynamic individual. Like she can turn it on and win you over, when she needs to, and then she can kind of dispose of you when she doesn't. So like those are some traitor qualities if I'd say so. So, I mean, look, we have a fairly complicated relationship at the moment, but I would absolutely, endorse her going on it. I think she'd be really good at it.
Carl might have to go with her because I don't know if they could be apart for 10 days. From the looks on their Instagram, I think they are always linked up.
I think it would be an interesting time for Carl to kind of get lost in his thoughts. But yeah, because you're not really allowed to be on. You occasionally get a burner phone to like call a loved one, but like it's literally like you're incommunicado.
Oh, did you ever get to chat with Amanda on a burner phone?
Yeah,
While you
yeah.
Or Loverboy HQ? Because I sometimes you love business.
I know I did have to like reserve the right if I have like a business emergency, like I need people to be able to reach like the producers. So yeah, I was able to connect with Amanda on occasion. The days are long. So like you get back to the castle, you know, your room, and I mean it's midnight. So it's what, 6 a.m. or 5 a.m. You know, they gave us this little piece of crap Android phone that like is completely, it's like useless. It's like it might as well be like a corded phone.
How did you deal with missing Amanda? I'm sure that was tough, especially like in your first year of the newlywed.
Our first year of marriage, we were probably 5 months into having our dogs. And the real kicker, our wedding episode aired when I was in Scotland.
No.
Yeah. So that was, you know, we kind of rushed to watch it so we could film the reunion. You know, I don't know how much you guys know how that works, but like we filmed the reunion obviously before the season ends. So you have to like watch like kind of some rough cuts of these episodes. So I saw this like rough cut of our wedding, and I wasn't even with Amanda when I saw the rough cut for the reunion. And then I wasn't with her when it aired. So I think that was like the hardest part of it all. But I had so many cast members with like kids. So I was like, I can't complain.
Yeah. Right. Well, it was interesting during the reunion. It seemed like everyone is having babies on the cast. There's something in the water. And I know that you and Amanda are, you know, going through your journey on your path to becoming parents. How are things currently? It was heartbreaking to hear Amanda open up about her health concerns on this last episode.
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously a lot more to it than kind of what made it into the episode. You know, I think that she's getting a lot. It breaks my heart. She's catching so much from trolls about her weight. And you know, people are like, well, you're missing your period because you lost so much weight. It's like, no. So like, if this didn't make the cut, I'll set the record straight. Yes, going off birth control causes you to lose weight. It also causes your hormones to go out of control like you're a teenager. Yeah. She has always had like, you know, great skin. She was breaking out like she was in high school right up until when we went to film the Winter House. And so she went on some medication that Paige had been out actually and recommended. And I can't remember the name of it. It begins with an S. It's not Accutane. It's actually it's a medication where the byproduct happens to be clearer skin. Oh. I forget. It's like skinolactin or spirolactin or I don't know, whatever it is.
Okay.
But one of the side effects was it also caused her to lose some weight. I don't think it's a common side effect, but it was like a twofold kind of weight loss that she had zero control over. And so like she was dealing, like I give her so much credit because I don't think I could have filmed with like the acne that she had, and some of that kind of persisted into the summer, you know, and you'll see some scenes where, you know, you can kind of see some remnants of it. But yeah, I mean, I watched that scene. I know that's a little more complicated than what you saw, and it was tough because she's going through the weight loss, she's going through the acne, and then, oh by the way, what's going on with like, you know, her menstrual cycle and like her fertility, you know?
Right.
So I don't want to spoil anything, but like, I'm so glad the girls, it all kind of started at that tea brunch, whatever the heck we call that event, where the girls are like, yo, you know, this could be serious. You need to go talk to a doctor, because Amanda she's definitely the type to push things off, particularly if she's nervous about what she might learn. So I was so thankful for friends like Sierra to really kind of take her under her wing, you know, to start trying to understand what was going on.
Well, that's why I feel it was good. Sierra went right into nurse mode, I feel like, where she like put down her teacup and she's like, no, we need and I was like, she was listing all these like medical terms and I was like, okay, she means business here. And what upset me, because Danielle was giving her a lot of support there. And we see in the teaser for next week, me and Evan, literally before you jumped on the Zoom, we were like, why did Danielle randomly say she doesn't trust Amanda? Like, when has Amanda ever not trusted her?
Yeah.
And then I also love our mullet boy riding for his girl so much.
You'll see. It's complicated. I think Amanda got upset because, to your point, I mean, she's like, what have I done to like not earn your trust over the years? But in true Danielle fashion, the root of this fight is not Danielle, it's Lindsay. And so that'll play out. It was definitely, I mean, I'm hoping this was the culmination of my losing my cool and storming off. Because we finally get off the Loverboy topic, and then boom, Amanda felt attacked, and then somebody lied about some text messages, and that was when I just lost it. Like, there's one thing that I cannot stand for is habitual liars. So
your delivery of actual a-holes and actual bitches, like, it's so good, Kyle. It is absolute husband goals. Like, I'm showing my fiance.
I because of this show, I've realized I've got some real anger management issues. It might make for good TV, but like in those moments, it has nothing to do with alcohol. I almost like black out, and it's like truth serum, and I give it to you. And sometimes it ain't gonna be pretty, or sometimes it's gonna actually be like inappropriate. Like, I did not mean to, talk about Carl's past the way I did, but my frustrations had just bubbled over. Like, I was like, Maya, just before the cameras caught that conversation, she told me that like Carl and Lindsay have been talking about Loverboy with everybody the first weekend. And I was like, I was hurt. Sometimes it gets the best of me, and like that's when you see me in, Kyle kind of storm off the reunion stage kind of state of mind.
The storm offs almost happen, and I feel, because it's interesting that you're like looking like you're like about like the rage and anger. It almost is always you defending the things you care about, because it's usually
like
about your business or your wife, and it's like, it's not like people are making fun of you. And
I'm not the one that like. And this kind of goes back to like when I was a kid. I never got in fights, right? But I will defend myself when I'm attacked, or the people that I care about, or my business that I've worked tirelessly over, like, are attacked. And so but I gotta learn how to do it in a way that it's like it sucks when you're right, but your delivery is what makes you wrong.
Yeah.
It was interesting you mentioning that the crux of this whole Danielle not trusting Amanda, kind of stems back to Lindsay. And right now we are seeing the beginning stages of Danielle sort of entering a new era of enlightenment. Paige kind of points out to her, hey, I don't know if Carl and Lindsay are as loyal to you as you are to them. What was it like watching Danielle go through that process? And was it kind of shocking to you with like how tense things were with Danielle at the beginning of the season to where they eventually got?
Yeah, I mean, look, she kind of came in and got right in my business, right? Which that's happened before, and I do not react well. I love Danielle to death, but I'm just like, at what point? Like, what do you have to gain here? Mm-hmm. I think that Paige kind of hit it on the head, and I don't think Danielle had ever really had to look herself in the mirror and ask the questions that Paige was asking. I think, and I don't think that one conversation can be pointed towards as to like what flipped the script and changed the narrative between Lindsay and Danielle. Because if all it took was Paige asking a couple questions, about a friendship that's 6 years in the making. I mean, like, come on, don't blame Paige for that. I think the wheels started turning for Danielle, and I think almost more impactful than watching that was watching how much fun Danielle had with the girls at the girls' day. Like, dancing in the kitchen, having fun, letting her hair down. I guarantee you, like, that wouldn't have happened if Lindsay was there. Like,
is the vibe in the house different when Lindsay and Carl are not there, would you say, as it pertains to this past season?
I mean, I think you saw it just in that little clip, like that little kitchen scene. I mean, look, I give Carl a lot of credit. He's still trying to like make sense of this kind of new lifestyle where he's still surrounded by people that are drinking and partying, and he's trying to make sense of that. And then, Lindsay's trying to navigate these, whether it's a friendship with me or a friendship with Danielle, where we've kind of fallen out of alignment, for lack of a better way to put it, and they're also a couple, but we all have long histories with them as individuals.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's not like all the past just gets erased because, we're the, like if I question something about Carl or Lindsay, they can chalk it up to be like, oh, you're not supportive of us. I'm like, it has zero to do.
Yeah.
So look, all I can say is it's complicated, and I don't like there to be people picking sides, and I don't want it to be construed as like, oh yeah, when Lindsay and Carl are there, it's not as much fun. Like, we had plenty of fun, don't get me wrong, but I think early on, the vibe was definitely different with them not there. I think that was only natural.
Where do you guys stand today? And do you expect to receive an invitation to the wedding? Is this, it's not beyond repair, or is it what do you think?
No, I mean, Carl and I are going to meet up again next week. We had a good dinner a couple weeks ago. We know that, when this kind of stuff airs, it's very easy for it to start to spiral, right? It's one thing to live it and film it. It's another thing for it to air and you see things you weren't privy to, and you say things in your confessionals that you maybe didn't have the balls to say in person, because we do have a lot of respect for one another. And then you obviously have everybody weighing in. So it was like Carl and I wanted to connect with Carl and just remind him of that. We've been through this 6 times before. We know that things gets dicey when these seasons air. So let's just not let our friendship, be compromised as a result. Yes, there's going to be things that I hear that upset me and vice versa, but we're still best buds. And we got to remember that when we're reading some dumb comment from someone who knows only what they're seeing,
I love hearing that, because you and Carl are one of my favorite couples on the show. You guys do have a long history and have grown so much. And Evan put this in my head before he came on. And I don't know if you might get this side at all, because now Danielle is unfortunately single, even though I loved Robert. He looked like he made great meals. Evan texted me. He was like, do you think there's a spark between Chris and Danielle? Do you think that scene could happen?
There is chemistry. I see it. No one can tell me otherwise, Kyle. I really just feel like they have what it takes to be the next iconic Bravo couple.
Wow. And this is just going off that one little scene. Or no, there was a couple.
They just have vibes.
Yeah. I mean, look, I saw it. I don't think I saw it in the moment because I knew Danielle and Robert were in a good place, and it never would have crossed my mind. But hey, I'd ship it. I love both of them. So,
and I just feel like Chris needs a win after he struck out with Sierra and Sam. I feel like, third time
and another girl,
maybe.
Yeah, I know. Well, I think he maybe laid it a little. He might have laid it on a little too thick right out of the gate. But if that's who he is, I mean, he'd probably rather know if there's interest in the first 2-3 weekends than slowly trying to build this up only to have your soul crushed.
Yeah, the newbies really go all in. It's Gabby what time were you born? Because if our stars don't align, we're done. Chris saying, do you want to make out right now? And Sam dating Madonna's new boyfriend, or trying to date Madonna's new boyfriend.
Yeah. No, I mean, we you always hope that, new friends in the mix kind of quickly acclimate and feel comfortable and at home and let their hair down. And I think we got that out of all 3 of them. And that's always a huge plus, because, you're going to be spending the summer with these people, and you want to maximize it. You want to capitalize on it. You want everybody. I always want everybody to have as much fun as possible, so there's as many memories made as possible. And when people are there for all the right reasons, it makes all the world's difference.
Well, I mean, with you
I'm
as an
hoping
example, I'll let
that
your hair down. Yeah.
I'm hoping that maybe you're able to make some memories with Madonna herself. If Josh keeps coming back to the summer house next season, I love the trajectory of Sam to Madonna, like summer house newbie to the literal queen of pop. What are your thoughts on Josh possibly dating Madonna?
Uh so I so are you just saying Josh looks like one of her
No,
No, like
they're together. They were seen together.
yes, like he and Madonna are actually a thing.
Kyle, you don't read
I'm
page
so
6,
out
Kyle?
of the loop. I
We'll
gotta
send you
start
the
working
link.
so many hours on Loverboy. Wait, that's amazing. This is news to me.
I'm obsessed. I am so
And I feel like
obsessed.
Andy probably is too, because he loves his Madge as well. So
Well, he was a gentleman. I was actually in the boxing class that Sam met Josh.
oh,
Yeah, they just flashed back to it really quickly and just showed Sam. But like I was there, Chris was there, and yeah, they're like Sam just like walked right up to him and like got his number and was like, "What are you doing this weekend?"
She's a bold girl.
Yeah.
but I mean, no one is as bold as Madonna, so Sam might really need to wait a little bit.
I mean,
So-
what a change in trajectory for Josh.
I know.
Do you have a favorite Madonna song, or do we have to educate you a little bit? Do we have to send you some links?
There's a new one that doesn't even sound like her typical genre that I didn't even know until I like saved the music in Instagram Reels. And I'm like, wait, that's the Madonna song. It's the one like,
Oh, the beat one, the beat remix.
yeah,
Yes.
I'm feeling whatever the hell that thing's called. I'm like, there's like a video where that's the music and Daniel Craig's like dancing and doing like this funny, like,
Yeah. That's a good one. That one is definitely a vibe. Well, I'm keeping my fingers crossed for Madonna on the next season of Summer House. I feel like we're not going to be seeing Oliver on future seasons of Summer House after his breakup with Maya. And then Danielle spilled the tea that she thinks that Oliver cheated on Maya. What was your reaction when you heard all of that? Did you see any red flags between Maya and Oliver now that we know what we know?
look, I actually really like Oliver, so I don't want to like comment too much here. You know, from what I could see, like they were kind of living slightly different lives, almost hate to say it, kind of like Danielle and Robert, like their work just took them in different places. I don't know anything about the cheating rumors. You know, I obviously knew Maya broke up with him, but you know, I love Robert just like I love Oliver. Like those are two guys that I enjoyed hanging out with. So it kind of sucks when there's a breakup, but such is life.
And also, you're like, wait, okay, one less reservation for the brewery.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Soon it's just gonna be you drinking just like a Malbec alone for boys' night.
Well, yeah. What can you do? Yeah, that was a funny weekend where it was just me and Chris, and then the girl's like, "Well, we're gonna do a little like tea party, and you guys should get lost." And I was like,
You're like, all right.
Fabulous. You're like, I drink chamomile. Can I stay?
Well, I was like, as long as you use some Loverboy in that tea concoction, make me proud.
Yeah. Now Maya broke up with Oliver, and I know that you ride hard for Maya, like she is your girl. What kind of guy do you think she needs next in her life? Is the crew trying to hook her up, or just like letting her have a single girl moment?
Yeah, I mean, like Maya and I definitely had a chance to become closer last summer. You know, when I'm not filming, I'm work. So there's very little opportunity for me to like feel like I'm getting closer to people during what we'll call the off season, if you will.
Very Rihanna.
But yeah. But no, I think I'm starting to kind of understand Maya where I might be able to like play a little matchmaker, but I don't know how quick she's trying to get back into, you know, actually solidifying, you know, relationship. I think she's having her fun. You know, from what I'm seeing, and you know, I you know, if it was a bad breakup, which I haven't necessarily confirmed, you know, that might explain some of that, right? You don't just like rush into something after like you go through something.
Mm-hmm.
Now with Maya being your girl and Carl being your boy, what was it like seeing them kind of drift apart? Because Maya recently said that she has no more relationship with Carl.
Yeah, I mean, I'd heard little bits and pieces of what had happened. It sounded like it had nothing to do with weed. I think everybody that is close enough to Carl, I mean, my own like teammates know that he had like a weed pen. So it was no mystery that he was like California sober. I think that helps, particularly in situations where people are partying. I'm sure that helps take the edge off. Like, you can't fault him for that. I don't know where Lindsay was coming from with what she was saying. I think I've definitely heard like two different sides to how that conversation went in the car. I think it's too bad because I think I don't want Carl to feel like, he doesn't have anyone other than Lindsay. Like, that's just not healthy. So I hope they can kind of reconcile things.
Yeah, me too. Well, Carl's lucky to have you. Maya's lucky to have you. Danny and I are so lucky to have you on our reality TV screens, Kyle. And thank you so much for hopping on the podcast today. We really appreciate you taking the time.
Because we know you are a booked and busy CEO. Yes.
I know. The fact that you took time out of your Loverboy schedule to chat with us and entertain us and all of our thousands of questions, like, seriously, thank you.
No, I always love catching up with you guys. Thank you so much for all the support.